Alex Lifeson, if we just think about his career in Rush alone, has contributed to so many different musical genres and idioms just within the context of that band. I think it's fair to say he's explored a lot of musical ground, so we certainly shouldn't be flabbergasted by the sheer range and scope of this record. Envy of None, of course, as a band, consists of Alex Lifeson, Andy Curran from Coney Hatch, Alfio Annabellini and singer Maya Wynn. And this is due out on the 8th of March via K-Scope Music. Alex Lifeson and Rush have been a huge influence on many of the progressive metal bands that are cutting their teeth at the moment. But this album bears more of a resemblance to 1980s electronica and more ambient textures than it does with classic Rush, whatever that means, whether it's even during their more synth period. This album goes way, way further than that. The guitar often used to colour or shade some of these sonic explorations. After listening to this album a couple of times, I have to say it's more Brian Eno's mixing colours than it is Rush's moving pictures. This debut album of this band consists of 11 tracks that ricochet between ambient experimental with some hints of alternative and synth rock. With some very strange and ethereal meanderings on this one, from which can be excavated some rather intriguing melodic hooks and twisting melodies. Although very different from Rush, largely in fact due to the ghostly vocals of Maya Wynn. Her melodies, the way she uses her voice is just incredibly haunting, almost otherworldly, all wrapped up in these synths and new wave ambiances and alternative rock. It's just absolutely intriguing soup. And these ghostly melodies, to use that word again, have a soul-bearing intensity, which even according to her own bandmates, very much brings this music to life. The album's first single, Liar, which is now available to listen to, blends almost kraut rock, industrial, atmospheric guitars and a slurry bass sound in this very heady, beguiling swirl that bears much more of a resemblance to the darker tones of the 90s, bands like Nine Inch Nails and Depeche Mode, than anything we've perhaps associated with Alex Lifeson. And Maya Wynn, that adds these eerie fronds of vocals to this music, certainly contributes wholeheartedly to the structure of this album. In fact, Alex Lifeson said she was able to bring the whole new ethereal thing through her sense of melody on tracks like Liar and Look Inside. I've never had that kind of inspiration working with another musician. She is something special. But there's a stark honesty in the writing and the way this music is performed. That becomes apparent from the get-go. Maya Wynn has said that one of my favourite things about these songs is the intimacy of them. And she's not wrong. These songs really get into your head as you're somewhat surprised by the unabated honesty of them. So let's talk a little bit about the tracks on this album. The first track is Never Said I Love You. This starts with a Human League type electronic pulse, which I assume gives way to some interesting atmospheric guitar work by Alex Lifeson. The guitar work on this number is very unassuming and kind of just shades it in many respects. It has a disgustingly catchy chorus, by the way, delivered in this very sensual, breathy vocal. Track 2 is Shadow. It starts with this synth bloopery, perfectly platforming this ethereal voice. It has an almost oriental textures with various chimes and brittle percussive elements. Sounds like my bamboo wind chimes on a blustery day. Rescued from becoming very icy and detached by the warm, double-tracked vocals here. There's even a sound like a sitar at one point as Alex gets all Haight-Ashbury on us. Look Inside sounds very New Order as it kind of throbs into life in waves. Very ominous sounding bass on this one, announcing itself in the sweet choir of oohs and ahs as the only thing in this track that actually soothes us. Liar, which of course is a single, or it's certainly been put out there I think already, starts with that almost tribal percussive clatter before the voice comes in. Alex's guitar plays a larger part in this song, which is welcome, but it doesn't prevent this number having a very two-way army feel to it. Great line in this, my heart can see through the lies, how pertinent in the world we now find ourselves in. One critic has written, Liar is a combination of hard rock and dark ambient sounds, resulting in a moody yet moving experience. Maya Wynn's singing is equally melodic and ambient, complementing the instrumentation rather than dominating the song. That's very much true of this album. It's a perfect symbiosis of all these talents. Next track is Spy House. It starts with these puncturing guitar stabs by Alex Lifeson, and then you get these honeyed sighs. It's almost hypnotic. Nice solo from Alex around about the 150 mark. It's definitely worth checking out. And the word Spy House is just panted at us. It's like some sexy prog Kraftwerk rendered ESM session. Kabul Blues, I love the eerie synth at the beginning of this one. It's almost reminiscent of Sirens, how appropriate given the title, of course, with the menacing textures creating a sense of anticipation and dread. The coup de grace is the beautiful layered vocals which just finish you off. The guitar tones on this give it a kind of Middle Eastern flavour, which is how sonically appropriate, I guess. Old strings, I love the line, I feel like old strings, my mind won't stretch the way it used to. Amen to that. Lovely atmospheric guitar in this. It almost has a kind of a Nashville vibe at one point. Dumb. It starts with this robotic tick before going all 1980s Depeche Mode on us. Interesting guitar work around about the 150 mark, which warms this track up a little bit, I think. Enemy. This is a dark number from the get-go that has something of Mazzy Star to it. You get this orgasmic, hushed throb. Before exploding to some rather dark and down-tuned guitar sound. Then we get track 11, which is Western Sunset. The acoustic strum at the start of this really feels like a breath of fresh air, very different from everything we've listened to. It's like a post-coital inhalation after the mind-rogering that is this album. I absolutely love this, and the slide guitar is what gives it a Nashville vibe. It's an ethereal and soothing number. It's actually a befitting tribute to Neil Peart. Lifeson said, I visited Neil when he was ill. I was on his balcony watching the sunset and found inspiration. There's a finality about a sunset that's kind of stayed with me throughout the whole process. It has meaning. This record is a real grower. It's certainly worth buying and listening to. You put all your preconceptions aside and just hear it as something fresh and new. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's certainly an album that I look forward to obtaining a physical copy of and listening to it a few more times in the future. Anyway, you've been watching an episode of New Album Review. Please do click like, subscribe and do all that stuff, and check some of the links below this video for ways you can support the sterling work done here at Classic Album Review. Other than that, I hope you're well, safe, COVID free, but more important than all that stuff, of course, is that you keep listening.